Today's lesson we'll be talking about fiscal policy, and we'll be on page 6 of your interactive notebook. So first off, what is fiscal policy? Basically, the government has several policies in play that deal with government spending and taxation that are meant to help improve the economy or maintain, or we'll say slow down the economy. These decisions can have a major impact on the economy, and they are a result of the Great Depression back in the 1920s and 30s. So we didn't used to have these, we'll call them safeguards in play, or we didn't have these policies in play during the Great Depression. And because of the Great Depression, we put these into play so that we can avoid future depressions or recessions. So who makes fiscal policy decisions? It's very important to note that fiscal policy is going to be up to the government. So it's going to be the president and his cabinet and Congress, which is made up of the House and the Senate. This is who is making the decisions. The federal government is in charge of fiscal policy. So very important to note that because it's going to be different when we get to monetary policy in the next lesson. So fiscal policy in the economy, what is it? What do we do with it? So the government has two options. They can either increase or decrease the spending in the economy. So they have expansionary policies, which would increase the output of the economy, or we have contractionary policies. They decrease the output of the economy. So think about expansionary, expanding. When you expand something, it gets bigger. Contractionary means that something gets smaller. So if you contract something, it's getting smaller. So expansionary, we're trying to increase, like I said, the output of the economy. And contractionary, we're going to decrease the output of the economy. Let's talk about what these expansionary policies look like. With an expansionary fiscal policy, you're going to use this, or the federal government would use this during a contraction or a recession. So the economy is in an economic downturn and it needs help. It needs help to, we'll say the economy is sick and it needs some medicine, we'll say, to get it pumping again. So what the policy would do, they could decrease taxes, so tax cuts, or they could increase government spending. Sometimes they do both, sometimes they just do one. And the idea here is that if you're decreasing taxes, you and I, as citizens, if I don't have to pay as many taxes, I've got money in my pocket. And I take that money that I have and I go out and purchase things. And by me purchasing, it's giving money to different businesses, which then those businesses will take their profits and spend it and invest it into their business and make more stuff for me to possibly buy later. Government spending. By using that, we would say that the government is going to put money into different programs. It could be through fire trucks or police departments or education or whatever. But using that money is going to generate or stimulate the economy as well. The nice thing about fiscal policy is once you know the expansionary policies, you also know the contractionary policies because they're the exact opposite. So a contractionary fiscal policy is going to be used during a time of expansion or excessive inflation. It's basically when the economy is too hot and we want to cool it down. And again, that seems odd because why would we want to cool down an economy? But remember, the more rampant the economy is, the inflation is going to get out of control, and we don't want that. So they would do the exact opposite. They would increase taxes and decrease government spending. Now, by increasing taxes, you have less money in your pocket, so you can't go out and spend it. And if they decrease government spending, they're not purchasing those, or they're not funding those projects. So again, it's not stimulating the economy. So let's look at a couple scenarios. This isn't in your interactive notebook. It's just to talk about it so that you are well informed. So let's talk about, so if most people are unemployed, people are spending more money than ever before. They're buying very high priced goods. Many retailers have found that they can charge higher prices. So what's the problem here? It says here a couple times that we've got high-priced goods, they can charge higher prices. So the problem here is inflation. We need to cool down the economy. So our solution would be use a contractionary fiscal policy that would either decrease government spending or increase the taxes, or possibly both, depending on how bad it truly is. Another scenario. By late 1979, a recession began. During this time, orders for goods were declining and inventories increased. Many people were searching for work. So here we have another problem. We have the exact opposite problem. We have a recession, and so we need to speed up the economy. So we have cyclical unemployment, possibly, and we also have a recession. So we want to speed up or help out the economy. So we would use an expansionary fiscal policy, possibly increasing government spending and or decreasing taxes. Another scenario. The United States is in a deep depression that is greater than the great one of the 1930s. Obviously, the problem here is that we're in a depression, so the economy is going to need help in the form of an expansionary fiscal policy. Lastly, Hodson Votech students, as well as most students around the country, are being paid high wages at fast food restaurants. Many of these students are willing to pay high prices for cars, junk food, and stereos. I don't even know if anybody owns a stereo these days. But anyway, so our problem here, again, high prices. We have inflation. We have an overheated economy, so we need to slow it down with a contractionary fiscal policy. Next time, we'll talk about monetary policy. Please make sure you've entered this into your interactive notebook on page 6. Thanks for watching.